Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is James Ramos from At the Quarter Pole, and here's my 2025 early, and I do mean early picks for the Breeders' Cup, and it's going to extend all races. And let's start out with the Breeders' Cup Classic, which will be run on November 1st on All Saints Day. And the Breeders' Cup Classic is my best bet of the day and probably my best value for the quality of this horse. And that horse would be Forever Young. He should at least be about 5 to 6 to 1. This is the horse I like right on top. Been blabbing about this horse since he lost the Dubai World Cup to Hit Show back in April, but I'm going to this horse. He's going to be my play. Also, in the X factors in a race will be Mind Frame. Why is an X factor? Because I don't know how well this horse is. He lost his jockey's last race after winning the Stephen Foster, which was an impressive race, and he's going to be better than 10 to 1. You have to use an exactas. Is he better than Forever Young? We won't know until they hit the racetrack and see what the end results is of Breeders' Cup Classic. But the X factor would be Mind Frame, and also if he decides to run in the class, will be Locked. Locke's race was much more impressive and looked on the form when he beat Phineas Fogg, who Phineas Fogg had the only speed of the race, and he dictated the pace at 24:49, but yet he yielded to Locke because Locke is a better horse. He's one of those rare horses that people forgot. Ladies and gentlemen, this horse won the San Anita Handicap back in March. The weather was cooler, as it will be in November 1st. For this horse, like I've always stated, there's certain horses run in seasons, and Locke could be one of those horses, and he will be a large overlay because everybody else will be bet a race. But as I concluded, my play of the day, my best play and best value play would be Forever Young in the Classic. You played exactas with also, or box it with Mind Frame and also Locke. On to the next race, the Dirt Mile. The Dirt Mile, my first pick is Wyden Barrio. He's been training exceptionally well at Gulfstream Park. They decided not to run him in the Classic. They're going to try him on the mile, which makes sense. He's going to be running like the likes of Nisos and Full Serrano. So I don't see this horse going off his favorite. He might be around 3 and 7 to 2. Good odds. He's training exceptional. Ran 4.8s about a couple of days ago at 4.8s at 45 and change, 45 and 4, which is an exceptional workout. And mind you, ladies and gentlemen, when Wyden Barrio is feeling good and he's training this well, he always pops a corker like he did 2 years ago when he won the Breeders' Cup Classic. The horse that I explained earlier in the Breeders' Cup Classic that might audible to the mile will be Locked. Locked is also dangerous. I have to go at the two-pronged horse here that I like both Wyden Barrio and Locked. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video early because I got a feel of what's going to be running and who I like right off the bat. I should be doing another video, at least guarantee one more video before the Breeders' Cup Classic. Should be followed the week before the big races or that week. I'll let you know for the information of what I'll have, just in case the horses get sick, they're not training well, etc., etc. There's always the X factor. They might scratch out for whatever reason. We're still 2.5 weeks away, ladies and gentlemen. On to the Filly Mare and Sprint. The Filly Mare Sprint. Earlier, my handicap styles, I thought Vava has a shot. He's my third audible now. I'm still have to use him spread a little bit in this race. I like Compion, who ran really well at a mile 1/16 back in Del Mar, and you could tell this horse was grinding away. Good on this horse, doesn't want to go the extra distance, the 7/8 of a mile. Filly Mare and Turf makes more sense. He's going to be on the shelf for 3 months. And Mandela has done this before when he brought Compion back when he won the La Brea Stakes back in opening day at Santa Anita. In that race, he also has Tamara. Tamara's the X factor because we don't know how well she could run. She was highly touted after winning her Manigo over a year ago, and both are trained by Richard Mandela. So that's a 3-horse spread. My first pick would be Compion only because his 3-month layoff, and the second factor is shortening him back from 1 mile 1/16 to 7/8 of a mile, which is always something you have to look into. That's always an ankle bet. So Compion might be the choice. You still have to use Tamara in there, and definitely Bava after a scintillating race that he won at the Chicago Handicap back in Churchill Downs early in May. On to the Distaff, and the Distaff now with Torpedo Anna. Not sure if she's going to run or not, or she's going to be retired by Kenneth McPeak after not performing well in the Spinster Stakes. My pick in this race would be a long shot, Scottish Lassie. Now, I'm not sure what her form is kind of going off form right now. I think she has a potential of coming up big in this race at long odds, between 8 and 10 to 1. I like Scottish Lassie because I think she has a touch of class. Baby's still a little bit young, not yet a 4-year-old, but still a 3-year-old. We'll give her a shot in this race. Scottish Lassie is my early Distaff pick for the race. On to the turf, mile and a half. And this race came up big like I thought it would. Back in the spring and summer, I was going over the European races. There was a couple of horses did not make here. Was Zadigan and Kaladigan, owned by the H. Aji Khan, didn't deferred not to come and bring his horses in. Either Darius had won the Prix de Triomphe. Now, in the turf race, the horse that I saw last year that be one of my favorite horses, Augusta Rodin last year, and that was Goliath. Goliath ran last year after being Augusta Rodin in the Japan Cup. Ran sixth to incredible race. Goliath has got an upset possibility. He's going to be bet, but he's not going to be bet over the other two horses I'm going to mention right now. Goliath's trainer never brings a horse into the United States. He rarely ships in, so that's another angle. Two angles is the other horse, Goliath itself, is a German bred horse in Germany. Had to be exceptionally really good to be coming out to the Breeders' Cup. And those are the two angles I like Goliath. You get a little bit better price. You still have to spread a little bit if you're using your pick fours and pick fives. Horses I'm going to be mentioning after Goliath is horses. Are you going to say Captain Avi as well? Of course. And that'd be Rebels Romance and also Ombudsman. Now, Ombudsman is trained by John Gosden. He's done everything that he could possibly do. He ran against and beat Delacroix, who I thought is an exceptional animal and should have been running in this race too. But Ombudsman is in form right now, and also Rebels Romance. Rebels Romance has become an all reliable. He's already made me eat crow because I didn't think he was as good as they had labeled him. So I'm eating crow right now. Just had a crow sandwich. So those are the three horses I like in the Breeders' Cup Turf. Goliath will be my number one pick. My second pick will be Rebels Romance, serving Ombudsman. Onto the Philly Mare Turf, and a slight long shot here at 6-1, could be a little bit longer, would be Cinderella's Dream. Cinderella's Dream has kind of went on form a little bit, went back to Europe. Charles Appleby is bringing this horse into a very tough race. She feels Purdy is going to be the favorite. She doesn't do any wrong. She does what she wants to do, and that's win races. I'm trying to go with a little bit of upset with Cinderella's Dream. Hopefully, she makes me thinking about Cinderella's Dream when she's hitting the board of winning the race. So that's my Philly and Mare turf route race. The distance sprint, horse like that I like in this race will be Nakatomi. Nakatomi ran down his competitors in the Phoenix handicap at Keeneland Park. He seems like he's always running this race. 2 years ago, he ran a credible third, and I like his possibilities here. It's at 6/8 of a mile, of course. Closers at 6/8 of a mile, even at Delmar, are going to be at somewhat of a disadvantage. But I like Nakatomi coming off a win. Maybe he'll have some courage to kick it in a little bit earlier in the race, and win this race. Petromando won his last race at Churchill Downs. He's training really well. He's got an upset possibility, but not my first pick for the Breeders' Cup spread is Nakatomi. Off to the Turf Mile, and this one is another spread race. Horses that are going to be running, and the horses that I like in this race, the horses I mentioned that came in second in the St. James Place, Andre Matisse. And Andre Matisse, paid by Ian O'Brien, is my first pick. You know, he likes to track. He won last year's juvenile at Del Mar, so the track shouldn't be a problem. Henri Matisse is my first pick, but the reason why I'm spreading this race is because they are some really good milers, but some of the best milers I've seen in quite a long time, ladies and gentlemen. And that would be a horse like Formidable Man, who's the horse for the course. He doesn't lose at Del Mar. He'll have a rider change with John Velasquez, kind of be a detriment, but you still have to use them in your pick fives or fours or threes and so on and so on. Another horse that you have to be worried about is Diego Velasquez. He was not a non-show in the Coolmore Mile, but you got to ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen, why is he bringing him back to the turf race? He is under new ownership from last year. Is owned by the Sangster Stables by Sam Sangster. As you remember, it might be the grandson or the son of the great Robert Sangster, owns the color bearer of the green, white, and blue silks. So you have to use him and a horse that I absolutely have found love since switching to the turf, and it looks like he cannot be beaten on the turf. Dermatistic, and Dermatistic was going to be run by Kendrick Camuch, and then that's why it's a spread. I looked at it about 2 months ago for the Breeders' Cup Turf. I didn't know where horses are going to go, and believe me, you ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a fantastic race, and it's a 4-horse spread. I hate to spread out that much. At least I didn't do the all on this race, but there are some fine animals at a mile. And credit to the East and West Coast connections, also Europe, bringing all these animals at to one race. But if I had to say, if my life depended on it, if I like one horse right now, and I'm not going to go back, my horse, Henri Matisse. I liked him in that St. James Place where he ran second to Fields of Gold. Got bobbled and knocked around for about a mile and a half. As he straightened out, he started cutting into Fields of Gold's leading margins, so winning margins. So if I have to go, and it was only one horse I had to take, is Henri Matisse in the Turf Mile. But I am spreading it out. Like I said, there might be scratches, it might be horse getting sick or whatever, a horse not training too well, or they didn't take to coming into the United States too well. I'll get you updated. We'll definitely promise you at least one more video before the Breeders' Cup races do go off. These are my early picks so far. Now it looks like I'm going on to another race. I think I covered Saturday's races. I want to get that out of the way because to me, they're all good races. I just wanted to have the say-so and the real big race where people are going to be putting closer attention to the races. On to the juvenile sprint. And this is a horse I saw at Royal Ascot that looks really, really good. Charles Darwin out of the Coolmore Stables, trained by Aidan O'Brien. He washed up in his last race at the Norfolk. He was on the flats straight away, and he won convincingly. Now, the reason why I like him so much, and not just because of Aidan O'Brien or Coolmore or that he's European, got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, this horse washed out. I mean, he was covered with foam and sweat, and he did not like that temperature for whatever reason. Was in the summer. It might have been oppressively hot that day. I saw him just washed out. It looked like he was just covered with foam, and he still won convincingly. Now, what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, if this horse is fresh? And the only thing that I could say that could beat this horse is just another unknown horse that I don't have any information on. I should get more information. But this is a horse, if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen, he's going to win the race. This is my pick, is Charles Darwin. Said if he comes out fresh as a daisy, he'll probably destroy this field. The only knock is that he's never run at the United States. Well, that goes for a lot of Europeans, but he should be class overall. Do I like the lower odds? No, but he's my number one pick, and I don't have anything right now that could challenge his ability. Now it's Charles Darwin for the juvenile sprint. On to the juvenile fillies, and unlike spendthrift Tommy Joe, I think this horse is just going to improve as she gets older. She's a phenomenal filly. Should handle the distance. Not my thing is that she won't be able to handle this. I saw her in Saratoga coming from many lengths out of it on a short turn, and that track is mean. When you come on around, ladies and gentlemen, to the finish line at Saratoga, you make a ton of ground. And Tommy Joe is my pick. That to me, it's not. I wouldn't say no brainer, but she figures that she'll handle more distance. On to the juvenile dirt race, and this is the horse I've been bragging about since I saw him won his maiden race. The $2 million horse that was bought by the stable, and that's Brant. Brant's my number one pick. You probably get 6 to 5. I think there's a lot of money that's going on him. I don't like the underlay, which he will be, but he has to show me that somebody else could beat him. He had a little bit much more test in the last race where he didn't win by much, but he still won. He still won an impressive time, and you got to remember he's a 2-year-old, and he's staying home at Delmore. And the only thing that could screw up Brant is basically, honestly, Bob Baffert. If he doesn't train him well, doesn't have him to the point of ready to excel and do well, that's one thing. But I like Brant. X Factor in this race, Intrepido, I saw his race, and his race visually is more impressive than you see in the race. Ladies and gentlemen, he was riding in between horses. When if you have a young 2-year-old and they win in between horses, being the horse being boxed inside, being boxed outside, and it's like being anything else. Horses get excited. They don't know where to go. They want to drop the bit. They quit fighting. This horse fought. And another thing that you have to use in Intrepido in the juvenile is that they're supplementing this horse. When have you ever seen any owners ever supplementing horses? When you have your win and you're in, you're good to go. But they're supplementing Intrepido to win for this race to win the juvenile. And I would figure Brown was going to be a bullet. I have to use Intrepido. There's only 2. Ewing was a strong, one of my strong horses I like from the East Coast. He's out of it. Napoleon Solo, after winning the Champagne, they're saying they're discussing the run next year in for the trials for the Kentucky Derby. And also other horses that just seem to drop out. But my first 2 horses are Brant is still my number one pick, and Intrepido second choice, maybe about 6 to 1. He might drop a little bit more, but he's not going to be less than 3 to 1. And if you want 3-1, definitely better than say 6-5 or 8-5. It's understandable, but Brandt's a real deal here, and Entrepido is going to give him all he's worth. On to the juvenile turf and two horses again. Two horses that are exactly almost the same way. The horses that are very impressive, and I've seen this horse run twice, and it's Botas, trained by Miguel Clement. And Miguel's done a superior job taking over for his late father's stable. God bless him. He's a real good horseman. He might be better than his father. And Christopher Clement was an exceptional trainer. So Miguel has done no wrong. It's better just bringing up these horses. And Botas is a treasure to see. He's 2 for 2, and this horse is very good at winning races. He's fast, and the only thing might hurt Botas is running against better competition or not taken to the turf course at Del Mar. A horse also that I have to put in is Puerto Rico. Last race he won 7/8 of a mile on a soft course, 122 and 4/5. On a soft course is a churro, 122 and 4/5. Well, that means, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know the factual times of horse racing, that means that's phenomenal time. That was on a firm going, and or even to a good going. That looks like a 121, maybe 122 and 2/5. He ran in a soft going 122 and 4 for a 2-year-old. So that also has to say this horse has a ton of potential. Another charge from Ian O'Brien. I see Ian O'Brien having a great day at Del Mar this year. He's got a lot of good horses, and I have to use both on those and the juvenile turf. Like I said, like I stated earlier, I'll be doing another video coming up to the Breeders' Cup. Like I said, it'd be the week before or the week of. Normally, I'll put it up as fast as I can once I got see who's coming in, who's in form, who's out of form. The post position does make a lot of sense. And I'll go over my picks again. I did this last year, almost the same format. I did an earlier video like about this time last year. Then I put in the whole thing, and this is what I like. This is what I see. I should be able to get more workout information later down the road. Or if, like I said, if a horse falls ill or is not training right or has been scratched, then I will audible. So I'll give you much time as I can, ladies and gentlemen. And my apologies if I can't get it as quick as I could, but I try to do my very best. And this is all I have for today for the Breeders' Cup All Race Pick. This is James Ramos from At the Quarter Pole, or Winning and History Run That Connect. Have a good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.